Hello guys, welcome back to The Crew 2. A bit of everything in this live stream. We will see how long it runs, because you had some issues earlier. Probably too much traffic on the internet, but we're looking through the windows in our house. That's where we are. Meanwhile, we have pictured the boat, or painted the boat a little bit. And we sort of did the same for the plane. And also the car has an R&D tag now. Just hold the button to go out in whatever vehicle you are in. That's the idea. We're still in the Audi TT RS. Let's first go over the loot maybe. So yeah, well, you have this map. And you have all sorts of events on the map. You have to zoom out a little bit. You can click on these races and then go there, or you can just open the menu and you go to activities, and then you select whatever it is you want. You have street racing, off-road, freestyle, pro racing, and you have the extreme live series, more or less. We go to street racing. As you can see, you need 70% here to beat, or to get a chance to challenge the king. Of course, seeing we are content locked, which I meanwhile are, to level 1, there's not much you can do. But you can still gain bucks by doing these 3 races in street, for instance, over and over and over. All of the rest of the races, which are a bunch, about 16 I think. But those are locked to other levels, so not available. You can also change the difficulty from normal to hard in all of these races. Well, let's do the strip south, for instance. You can travel to the menu, and that's how you get there. But let's have a look at how the loot system works in this thing. You upgrade your cars. That's what you start.
Reminder, no beers permitted near the view.
3, 2, 1.
Make the streets your own.
Please remember to drink responsibly on today's
You have to hold every button that you press for about 3 seconds or whatever, before it actually works, like the reset that I tried there does not work. We pick up a loot, and that seems to be a very good one immediately, because it was a green, a blue and a purple part. The 3 different parts available in this game, and we will have a look what that means exactly. If we open the menu, you see your car, and you see sort of a red square around the car, and it says performance 3, and that's because we just won 3 parts for it. So if you open that, and then you see the red squares again lighting up, and that is the parts that you have just won. That means for this one we have a level 155 with 2 of these bonuses. What these bonuses exactly mean, that is something you can see by pressing the F9. And if you press F9, then it says these are epic brakes, and it has the shifty perk on it and the extra pump on it. And shifty means that it will increase the slipstream power by 8.1%, so that's a pretty good bonus. And the extra pump increases the nitro refill speed by 17%. So that is a pretty good part. Unfortunately, it's only a level 155 and not a level 280, which we eventually need. This one we can scrap, because we don't need it anymore. This one 179, and we won a green. This is the normal part. This is sort of a level 1 part, so yeah, there's not much we can do. So we scrap this one, and the tires, that's like the first 10 that we win. And this is a blue one, that is a level 2 that has 1 perk available, and we'll see what this is. Skilled. Increasing scoring by 3% in all based skills. That is specifically for skills. So if you're gonna do skill tests, you probably wanna have a few of these skill parts put on your car. Especially when you are level 280, it's best to keep a few of these different skill parts, and purple then, with different bonuses, so that you can change your parts in case you're gonna do a skill test or an event, or it all matters, it depends. We're going to put that on, which brings our car to 159 at the moment. Now, the car itself was a bit wobbling, but if you go to F9, you can go to these kind of settings. You have some general settings, traction control, ABS, ESP, and slide help. The slide help, yeah, it was sliding a bit too much, so probably best to put it in half or something. The ABS, yeah, was a bit high, but we'll put a bit lower. Traction control and stability control. You can change that. Once you, as you can see here, popular famous star icon, if you are level 2, 3, 4 and 5, more of specific tuning options become available. But seeing we are content locked in the beta to only the level 1 rookie, we cannot change anything on that. What I also have a bit of a problem with is that if you go to options and you sort of go to the normal controls, you can change the gearbox to automatic, sequential, H shifter with manual clutch, and so on. Now, it seems to me, and not only to me, I already have people contacting me that the manual, which is sort of more or less the H shifter option, is seems to be slower than the automatic, which is not very normal. Manual clutch is still the fastest, just like in the Crew 1. That is going to give you the fastest time. But already a few people telling me that they drive in manual and it's actually slower than if you put it in automatic. So I'm assuming that is a little bit bugged. Seeing I play on the keyboard, controller fine tune, that's all fine, but linearity, dead zone and all of that, I cannot change any of these. These are all grayed out. So the general settings that we had like in the Crew 1 with linearity and speed factor and all of that, and the dead zone, we cannot change here if you play on a keyboard. So which means you have to go fine tune each of these cars in the Pro settings in the menu that I showed earlier, the F9 there. This performance menu, and you press F9, then you get like these general settings where you can change the tire pressure and the brake settings and power and balance and suspension and aero and differential settings. You can all change that once you are higher level. So that is sort of a bit for the tuning. But at this moment, yeah, I'm more or less stuck to these 4 different general settings: traction control, ABS, ESP and slide help. That's the only thing that I can change. What also matters is that how higher the car goes, how better it will behave. So you only know how a car actually behaves if you have it on level 280 in this case for the street spec or the street race spec. Because yeah, that is the highest you can go, but that is not the case for all of the vehicles. Then we have this thing here, the Mercedes-Benz X-Class. How do I get my hands on this? Because yeah, the starter's car for the off-road is the Proto Buggy, as you could see in episode number 2. But this thing is actually, if you go to activities and you go to the race of the rally races, you have the Mercedes-Benz X-Class event. That was the first thing that I did after opening all the headquarters and doing a look in the house. The first event that I did was this one, and if you do that and you actually finish it before the ghost time that you have to beat or something like that, then you win the Mercedes X-Class. That is how it came into my garage. I did not buy it. But yeah, we've done a street race, so let's also do this is perfect example. We're gonna do this in cockpit view. And now I have one big question. Where are my headlights? It's gonna be very interesting. Now, these events are quite light up, and also the cities are as bright as a Christmas tree. But once you come into darker areas and you drive like this, especially for cruisers, gonna have a serious problem because you can barely see where you're going. And they explained the not working mirrors, something with like 20-30% used for the power of the servers for reflections, and that's why the rear view mirrors are not working, because as you can see also those are not working. It's kinda blurry. And the headlights here in the nighttime, they're also a big problem, as you can see. A bit of gambling and look for light here and there on the event itself. Other than that, of course, you also do not have a GPS line, as explained in the previous episode. And now the checkpoint is there somewhere, and yeah. Try finding your way in the dark with that light that is shining 5 yards in front of you, and other than that you can't see anything. So you sort of have to look way ahead. Now you see the headlights. If you're against some But it's tried, what it looks to me is like they try to solve it by putting more lights on the roads and stuff like that. But there are areas on the map where you barely have street lights or whatever, and you just cannot see where you're going. I don't understand. We had working headlights in games in 2010, 2012, 2016, and they just cannot get it together. 3 years people are complaining about it in the Crew 1, and yeah, as you can see here, I mean, if it was not for all of these event-related light situations like the arrows and stuff like that, you would just not see where you're going. This of course, if you put the camera outside, that is all fine, then you will see where you're going. But there are a lot of people out there, let's say the cruisers, and they drive in cockpit view and even without any HUD, any speedometer or whatever, or minimap. They're gonna have a hard time. because of course
Welcome, one and all. We're so glad to have you here today.
these are events. Other than that, well, we had to beat some ghost time in a time of 3:16 or whatever it was. We did a 2:39, with not even a
Yeah,
great car at all.
I'd say that race went well for us.
Yes,
I got the
went
check,
very well.
you got the win, got our name in the paper. Very well indeed.
A level 2 and a level 3 part, that is always good. The more bonuses, the better. Probably gonna need them anyway. So we go to the performance of this off-road vehicle. As you can see, it's not 280 maximum level, but only 140. So also this one has a bonus. What is it? Gold Finder. Increase the loot drop by 4%. So you have a 4% better chance of finding better parts after a race. And this one is Muddy. Decrease the off-road bumps and deceleration by 4% and increase the radar range to detect live rewards by 5%. So the sensor. What is a live reward? The live reward is some sort of big box that you can find on the map, and it also contains loot. So also there you can find loot. But we'll see if we can find that. First gonna scrub this port. We'll drive around a bit on free drive and see what we can find.
Is this thing on?
Find our way out of here then. Okay, that's a wall. Can happen. As you can see, it's not even pitch dark. I just do not understand. Like these tree lights, they are pretty bright, they are pretty shiny. Why can't we have headlights like here? I mean, you just don't see anything in front of your car, except for the street lights which are ahead. And of course we're driving an off-road vehicle at the moment, the speed is not that high. But trust me, if you're gonna end up in hypercars, which will go like about 400 kilometers an hour, you are not going to see where you're going. Just not. Sort of have to aim for the street light to kind of wonder where the road is going, but because you don't like this turn, you totally do not see that turn. Not in a zillion years, unless you expand the mini-map and then you sort of have an idea where the road goes. But I mean, look at it. You don't see anything. It's like your headlights are not on. I do not understand that they cannot fix that in a 2018 yet. And they're on about exploration and all that. That's all fine, but you can't see where you're going. So what is there to explore? A dark spot in front of you? Middle of the night? Seriously. Once you're on the road, of course you have street lights, and then it's kind of okay. You can sort of see where you're going in an off-road vehicle. By doing this at 400 kilometers an hour in a hypercar. I wish you best luck to not hit a tree somewhere, or miss a corner or whatever. Also this one is because also with this one, just like with the street car, also this off-road vehicle, same story. You have to go into performance, you have to go into pro settings and change these things again. Pretty simple. So you have to change these things for every time you change a vehicle. So for each vehicle specifically you can do this fine tuning. And seeing I'm on the keyboard, these are the only tunings that I have, because the linearity and the sensitivity and stuff like that is completely grayed out for me. I cannot use it as a keyboard player. I find that a bit of a problem. While we are in this menu, You have the news that sort of gives you an overview or what's going on. As you can see here, you have a closed beta reward, which seems to be some sort of let's have a look. All participants of the Crew 2 closed beta will unlock a special reward for the final game thanks to the Ubisoft Club. Get ready to ride in style with an exclusive leather jacket. So you're gonna get a leather jacket, and what is this here? Not much, because it doesn't open, but what I make of it is that you're gonna get the Aston Martin Vanquish, because the Aston Martin Vanquish, if you look in the roster of all the brands and cars, it says Ubisoft Club reward. Or maybe you can exchange it like we had in the Crew 1 for 100 Uplay points or something. What could we get there? The Dodge Viper 2010. Apparently in the Crew 2 it's gonna be the Aston Martin Vanquish. And then also you always get like some sort of records which are beaten by your friends or something, that so that you can more or less have a look at that and see if you can beat them again. The pilot gives you a gallery of screenshots. I've taken one picture earlier, which was somewhere in New York, up with my Audi TTRS on top of the bridge. Flew there with a plane and I landed with the car, which is a bit of a problem because then I had to switch back to a plane and I could actually not get out there because the let's say the starting position was a bit too short. So that is where you can find all your pictures. The roster sort of gives you an overview of who is in your session, which of your friends is online, and if you have a crew, you will find the people here. If you have friends about here, you can right click on them and then you can invite them to the crew. That is how you do it. Oh. You just have to click on them apparently. Let's try that again. Yeah, you just have to left click, just a normal click. I right clicked on it and then you actually sort of go out of the thing here. That's for the roster. The catalog, that's sort of a quick overview from all the brands and models that are in. So if you pick for instance Honda, you're gonna see that we have a Honda Civic Type R, as I more or less already announced about a year ago. And then you have vehicles. Those are your personal vehicles. I have at the moment the TTRS. I won the Mercedes in one of the off-road missions. The buggy is the starter's car for the off-road headquarters, and then Pro Racing and Freestyle headquarters. We had these two vehicles that we won there. And then you have the activities where you can go to the street racing. You see all the street races, all the drift races. If you for instance click on the street races, you see all of these races. Same goes for drift race and hypercars, and also skills, because it's not only races, also the skills are depending on the headquarters now, or on the family. So you will have yellow skills, those are related to street, and you will have also photo book album or photo book events. How many percent do you get from these things is from all of this. You need to get 70% in the headquarters. The street race, the drift, the drag and the hypercars together is about 85%, and that goes for all of the headquarters. So you have those 4 disciplines, that represents 85% of your headquarters. The skills is about 10% and photo book is 5%. So you can do a bit of combination of racing and photo book if you're more into photos, as long as you get a 70%, so you can challenge the king. That is the idea. And then the options is your general game settings, notifications, your video settings, audio settings, controls. As shown before, they are not really working for the keyboard. The only thing you can change is the gearbox and the cockpit camera animation, and then key mapping or control mapping if you have a controller or a gamepad, and then wheel controls in case you have a steering wheel, obviously. That's that. Now, so we've done a street race, we've done an off-road race. Other than that, we can't see where we're going from the headlights, so I guess we switch to another vehicle. You have the fast swap feature. Not even sure what the fast swap is anymore. Oh, G apparently on my keyboard, but it doesn't matter. So you can click on G, the fast swap, and then switch it up to 1, 2, or 3. But I have it separately on a keyboard. That's an advantage for the keyboard. Then I guess you can map 3 buttons. One is my favorite car, then it's going to switch to the Audi TTRS. If I click on 3, then it switches to a boat. All possible in the game. So you're suddenly, without knowing it, you're like in the middle of the road with a boat. If you change to number 2, you go to a plane. And if you just happen to be next to a light pole, then you cannot change. You need to move a little bit to change to the plane. Now, the plane. The plane is throttle and brake, more or less the same as in a car. But you have to pull the nose up by leaning backwards. You have to pull the nose down by leaning forward. And then you have 2 extra buttons to for the plane, and that is the rudder. Rudder right, rudder left, and that's sort of for like light steering movements. If you do that, yeah, it's sort of it's gonna steer about 20 degrees or something, but we will see. So how do you start a plane? It's pretty simple. You give throttle, you lean backwards, and it will take off. There you go, and then you lean forward a little bit to stable the plane again. Change the camera a little bit. Now if you steer to the right, it sort of goes sideways. That is called the night flight. If you want to do 180 degrees turn, you steer right and then lean backwards, and that will make it quickly turn. And as you will see, you can also steer with the rudder. I will try that now. But then it's, yeah, what is this? It's like 20 degrees or something that you do. Then you do like a really big turn around the city. If you want to steer fast or turn fast, you just put it like that, lean backwards, and then it will turn way more. This is a stunt plane, so you have to do stunts. A roll is just steering to the right or to the left. That's called a roll. Knife flight, sort of let it hang with one wing down and one wing up. And then for the looping, you sort of have to look on your speedometer, and it sort of has half a grey zone and half a black zone. And you just lean backwards, don't do anything else. It will switch the camera, but don't. The first time I thought, oh, I lose the plane, but that's not the case. And you just steer till you have a full lap, and then you do a looping. And inside looping is the other way around. You lean forward. Also watch your speedometer or altitude meter in this case till it's going half again. There you go, outside looping. And stuff like that you have to do. What else do we have? Low altitude, that's pretty simple. You fly as low to the ground or the river or whatever as possible. Under bridge is self-explainable. You have to fly under a bridge. And then you have a close call that is, more or less you need to sort of almost fly into something and then like get out of there. Get snap and air drift, and you get all kind of combinations, and that all gives you followers, all of these stunts. Obviously, since we are content blocked already now, we have reached level 2 almost, and that's where it stops in this beta, so it does not go further. So although we get followers, but they're not really added up in pillars. So that is more or less how you fly the plane. So just by steering, you can get these movements, steering left, steering right. With the rudder you can get like a little bit of air drift, but not really steering. And then lean forward, the nose goes down, lean backwards, the nose goes up. The same goes for a boat. We'll switch to a boat, you just let it drop into the water. Now, the same as the plane more or less. If you just go on the throttle, we will just go get some speed, and then you see on your speedometer also there you have the bar half grey, half black, and that you certainly get speed. If you lean forward, it's going to put the nose into the water, and then the speedometer thing is going to go fully black, and that is like, then you have very precise control, but it goes slow as hell. So if you go up the lean forward key, you're going to get half again, get more speed. And then the most speed is swimming, and that means leaning backward, and you actually pull the nose out of the water. And then the speedometer will go fully grey circle, and that is the maximum speed you're going to get out of the tank. And then of course it also has a meter. Of course it's a bit less precise then, especially with the smaller boats, jet stream boats. It's a bit of, you have to play around a little bit with the lean backwards and lean forwards to get sharper turns, but we do not have any jet stream boat. And that's sort of how you get out of the water and switch to a car. Quickly press the 1 or the fast tab and select your more or less favorite road vehicle, because this is now a street car, but you can also put your off-road car or something as your favorite vehicle, or a bike in case you buy a bike. How do you do that? You open the menu and then you will see 3 vehicles with a star. Like in this case you have the boat and the plane. They sort of have on the left top a star, and those are your favorite vehicles. If you want to change, like in this case the road vehicle is my Audi. If I want to change that into the Mercedes, then I just select that and click on favorite, and then that will be the star. That also means that this car will now be in your living room instead of the other one. That's more or less how it goes. But I want the TTRS. That's my favorite car. The photo thing that you here see now, photo OP nearby, befriend. You can click on deploy, and then it will tell you what you need to do. Look out for wild ox. The fact that you get this means that there's somewhere around here in the bushes or in the forest will be a wild ox hanging about, and then you can take a picture of it, and that is for one of those photo book events. Or you can also pin this one if you want. You can either accept or decline. If you accept, there you go, and then it says look out for wild ox, and it sort of says it in grey. And so if you drive around a little bit and it just happens to see that wild ox, then it will actually change from the grey color into green, and that means that you can take the picture and that you have more or less filled the requirements for that picture. And then that's how you can do it. But now I need to get rid of this thing because I have pinned it, but now I need to unpin it, and that's a bit of a problem because again most of these things are done in the menu. So we have to go to activities, and now I have to hope and gamble a little bit, because each of these headquarters has these photo album events. But I'm thinking it's wildlife. As you can see, there's like a little pin over there, and that means that one of these photos I have pinned. It's this one here, and then you can remove the pin and you go back out. There you go, and now the pin is gone. That is sort of that. Now what can we do? Oh, I got to check how much money do I have. 138,000. So we have a street race car, we have an off-road car, we have an aerobatic plane, and we have a powerboat. That means there are about 12 more disciplines available, although on the hovercraft and the helicopter we cannot get our hands on, so that means we have about 10 different disciplines available. There are no events for those disciplines because of the fact that this beta has content lock, but that does not mean that you cannot buy those things. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. We have 138,000. Maybe we can get a motocross bike. I don't know. Depends what they're asking for it nowadays. Pretty expensive. KTM 450. 98. 109,000 for the Kawasaki KX 450. New into the game, Suzuki which was not in, well, I say new compared to the Crew 1. We did not have Suzuki. We did have the KTM and the Kawasaki. And seeing this game is sort of, yeah, in a way co-sponsored by Red Bull, we also have a KTM 450 Red Bull edition. That's of course, yeah, except for the sticker, it's more or less the same as this one here. But just for the Red Bull sticker, you're paying about 70,000 more. So we could buy one of these things. But yeah, you can test that, and that's all fine. But you cannot do events for it at this moment. So I'm not going to spend 100,000 on that thing. So those are the motocross. Here the yeah, a little bit of a funny thing. This one, the Chris Meek Citroen C3 WRC. Especially the funny part, of course, as I mentioned before, Meek has been fired by Citroen a couple of weeks ago because he crashed too much. Kind of funny that they just happen to have his car in the game. What else do we have here is more or less the dirt spec from the Crew 1. They call it Rallycross Edition now, but yeah, it's more or less the dirt specs. The Ford Focus, the Fair Lady, the Countryman, the Charger, Camaro, the 370Z, the 2010 Camaro, 2012 Challenger, the Charger, the Skyline, 233,000 we are already now, a Mini Cooper, a Lotus Exige, then we have the Citroen, Lancia, also new in the game, showed up here with two vehicles, the Rally 037, Abarth next to the 500. We will also have the 124 in this case in Rally. It also has a street spec, I think. The Lancia Delta S4, which is probably the fastest in Rally Cross, although yeah, that needs to be tested with fully upgraded cars, but it would not surprise me if this is the fastest. Pretty good one. This one handles pretty good, the Ford Focus RX 2016. The other Focus is a 2010 version. But yeah, it's also the most expensive one. And yeah, I've driven both of them. The Lancia is better than the Ford Focus RX. But the Ford Focus RS, especially for a keyboard, that one handles a little bit better. But yeah, once you have in-depth tuning, you can play around a bit if you're more or less a mechanic. Other than that, I'm not really understanding much of those things. But also here, there are no rallycross events available, so not much you can do with it. So I think I'm going to save my bucks for the Lamborghini Huracan. I'm gonna have a look quickly before. You can go to the street headquarters and see what the prices are and what the cars are there, or you can just look in the roster in the catalog here. Let's have a look. Lamborghini. Aventador. The Lamborghini Huracan is 623,000. Why am I looking at the Huracan? Because yeah, of course it all has to be proven, and we all need to test it. But there have been several technical tests, and there have been several closed alphas and stuff like that. And it seems to be that yeah, a lot of people are doing the fastest times on the leaderboard with the Huracan. So more than likely, this Lamborghini Huracan will be OP in street race, unless we find something else which is faster. But so far we haven't found it yet. Although you never know with a Lamborghini Veneno there in the Lost. But yeah, 1.1 million though for that thing. Let's have a look. What else do we have here? Now, personally, I have tested the bikes, and the bikes, even with a keyboard, handle pretty good, and they are pretty fast. I came pretty close to the Huracan times that I did with, for instance, the Panigale from Ducati. It's not even that expensive, 460,000. But of course, yeah, you do it, especially in this beta, you need to do a bit of grinding to get your hands on money, which also was pretty fast. And I've tested that in France, fully upgraded. Is this MV Augusta F4RR, and that cost 445,000. So I'm guessing that's sort of gonna be my next vehicle, but then I need to get myself 400,000, so that's going to be a bit of grinding in this beta thing, because we are content locked. We cannot do much more than doing those same street races and powerboat races and over again if we want to test other vehicles. That is, yeah, that's sort of the fact that we have to deal with here. It's a 5 days beta, but they have it content lock. Now, the fast swap, that's all fine, but if you want to switch to another road vehicle, then you have to go into the menu again. Like I said, the menu is quite important in this game because everything needs to be done through the menu. So, need to select that vehicle. Personally, I think that a fourth option for the fast travel for an off-road vehicle would not be a bad idea, especially since they have like more or less spent a whole headquarters around off-road. I think that we should have something like a street vehicle, an off-road vehicle, an air vehicle and a water vehicle. A fourth option in the fast path would not be a bad idea. Something to go off-road with. Playing around a bit with the traction control and slide helps, but I think already handles quite a bit better. But other than that, this headquarters is in the middle of the desert, so... But we pick up a signal, and that means that somewhere in that direction. Then you will also see the other way of finding loot. Maybe. But that is the benefit of this game. Crash into a rock. Saw the loot box already. Now it's just a matter of finding it. But like I said, yeah, my favorite vehicle was set on the street vehicle, which is a bit of a problem if you're off-road. A fourth option would be a really good thing. Pick up the signal. It's not a car wreck this time, but it's that loot box that we saw earlier already. Only one problem. Can't get through here. So it seems to be like there is a way. Switch your plan again. Get over the rock. we found this box here, and I can open it with this car, and then I'm gonna get parts for this car. But if I want to have, like, for instance, if I want to have parts on the Mercedes, then you select this car. Then you have to just hold the key. As soon as the life rewards goes up, the thing will open and it will actually contain root. Now this was a green box, but just like with the part itself, you also have blue boxes and you have purple boxes. And obviously the purple ones are the best. So this is like a pretty standard one. And if you again look in the performance, you also found those parts in that loot box. And that more or less is the second option to win parts. So after races you can win parts, but if you don't like to do races or whatever and just drive around in free drive, you will come across these things. You pick up a signal and you will actually win loot as well from that by just opening the box. More or less comes down to that. Which also means that yeah, that will be it for episode number 6 and this live stream as well. More or less, yeah, a quick overview on more of things about the tuning and the steering and stuff like that. Especially how do you fly a plane, how do you find a boat, general things like that. And then also how you could win this thing is pretty simple. You do the second event in the off-road headquarters for rally raid, and you will after the race you will get this vehicle, the Mercedes-Benz X-Class. I will see you guys in the next one, and bye for now.